that they went out of business. They no longer are in business. So I did a little bit more research, and I found out the founders of the company, tracked one of them at home, pretended to be a person working for Pacific Bell IT, and that I wanted to make improvements on the system, but I had no information. And the guy says, well, since we went out of business, do you want me to send you the design plans and the different protocols and everything? I could either FedEx it to you or I could fax it to you. What do you want? I said, sure, fax it to me. So then I had all the protocols and all the information of how to access SAS. And how SAS worked is they had remote RTPs, remote test points in every central office, and they had to use computer terminals in the test department at Pacific Bell, and it would talk to a concentrator. That concentrator would dial up to the RTP in each central office, and it would use a proprietary protocol, and it would give the test technician the ability to make calls from that number, to listen to the calls, to do a number of different test functions. So now I had the capability, like Eric had, of using SAS. So let's fast forward. This is kind of a lengthy story, but it's kind of interesting. So I started to get suspicious about Eric because every time we'd get together or talk on the phone, he'd start like asking me questions. Who do you associate with? Who do you talk to? What are other hackers doing? And to me, that was a big red flag and yellow flag. So I started to wanting to look into, well, who is this guy? And at the time, the Public Utilities Commission did not tariff caller ID in California. But since I had switch access, I did. So I basically implemented caller ID in Los Angeles. I set up caller ID on a friend's telephone, and then at 3:30 in the morning, I called Eric's pager number to call this telephone number. He did, and we were able to ID the number, and then from there get the address information from the phone company. It turned out this went to the Oakwood Apartments in Los Angeles, California. Then I decided, well, I got to find a little bit more about Eric. I just know his name. I call the Oakwood, I find out from the phone company the unit number he's living in. I call up the rental office, pretending to be Oakwood Corporate. I was able to get the whole rental application for the apartment where that phone terminated it. And to my surprise, there was no work information on this application. It only listed a mobile cell phone number. So I did some research, and I found out that this mobile telephone number is listed in the name of Mike Martinez. And then to find out more information about this number, I needed to either be the customer and use social engineering, or I needed to get into the cellular phone company's network. At the time, I found a vulnerability in AirTouch Cellular, so I was able to get inside access to their internal network. What they gave me the ability to do is look at any calls that were originated from that cell phone or terminated. And one number that kept popping up over and over and over again was 310-477-6565, which is the headquarters of the Los Angeles FBI. So there I knew that there was a big problem for me because this guy was either an undercover agent or he was an informant. So why I'm telling you this story too is because I had to go through a lot of trouble to implement caller ID to get his telephone number. Now I'm going to show you how you could unmask private numbers, because if it happened today, he would have simply blocked his number. After I got the cell phone number, I pulled all the cell bills because I had access to all their internal systems. And then I started doing traffic analysis and found that this cell phone number was calling other phone numbers within government, other FBI cell phone numbers, and at the end of the analysis, I had every telephone number that belonged to the white-collar crime squad in Los Angeles. So what I started doing was having their numbers. I was able to do originating and terminating number searches, and then what I started doing was searching on Eric's number. Well, who's calling him within AirTouch Cellular? And who's calling Pacific Bell Security? And then I was able to find the case agent's cell phone number because he was calling Eric, he was calling Pacific Bell Security, he was calling different numbers at the bureau. So then, what I did is there was this device called the DDI. Is anybody familiar with it? A guy named Mark used to sell them in Milwaukee. And what the DDI device allowed you to do was monitor the forward and reverse control channel of a cell site and actually be able to see calls. Anybody remember the DDI device? Okay, maybe 2 or 3 hands. So at the time, I was working as a private investigator in Los Angeles, and I set up in my office a scanner that monitored the forward control channel of the cell site in Calabasas, California.